Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. The 1981 Elizabeth II 1 penny isn't about what was expected. It's about the one that almost everyone overlooked, until time and rarity gave it a place among the most astonishing treasures in modern numismatics. To understand the true weight of this coin's legacy, we need to look back to the early 1980s, when Queen Elizabeth II was already a beloved and unifying symbol for the country. Her portrait, still youthful yet dignified, appeared on every denomination. Designed by Arnold Mackin, the effigy of Her Majesty on circulated coins during that period showed her wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, an iconic look that became etched into British currency history. The penny was one of the most common denominations, simple in purpose but anchored in centuries of monetary tradition. At just 3.56 grams and struck in bronze, the 1 penny coin bore the unmistakable design of the crown portcullis, an emblem drawn from the Palace of Westminster. This design had been used since the decimalization of British currency in 1971, replacing the pre-decimal penny that had circulated for generations. In 1981, millions of 1 penny coins entered circulation. They slipped into pockets, tinkled in school cafeterias, fell between couch cushions, and clinked in cash registers across the United Kingdom. Most were spent, lost, or melted down over time. They were workers' wages, children's savings, charity box fillers, and pub counter change. Nobody thought twice about them. Yet within that massive pool of ordinary coins, a rare variant emerged, one that would eventually become the stuff of legend. Only a tiny handful were struck under unusual conditions, possibly as test pieces, experimental strikes, or accidental misprints. The specific story behind the rare 1981 variant is still shrouded in speculation, but experts believe that a limited run was either minted in an alternate metal composition or prepared with dye differences that were never intended for full-scale circulation. Such anomalies often begin unnoticed. A mint worker might have run a small batch for calibration. A die might have been swapped prematurely. A blank intended for another denomination or pattern coin might have been used by mistake. In many cases, these pieces are meant to be melted down before they ever leave the facility. But sometimes 1 or 2 escape, finding their way into circulation like whispering ghosts among millions of near-identical siblings. The known rare 1981 Elizabeth II 1 penny is believed to be one of these survivors. Some theories suggest it may have originally been part of a presentation set or a pattern test that was never meant to reach the public. Others propose that a misaligned die or incorrect metal blank created the anomaly. Regardless of its origin, what makes this coin extraordinary isn't just the error, it's the impossible odds of its survival and discovery. Collectors didn't immediately pay attention to the 1981 penny. For years, it sat among piles of change without recognition. It wasn't gold, silver, or antique. It wasn't ancient or medieval. It was just a copper penny. But numismatics isn't always about glamour. Sometimes it's about hidden truths and unexpected survivors. As interest in decimal coins grew and collectors began researching die varieties and mintage figures, whispers began circulating about a unique penny from the early 1980s. It took time, research, and a few accidental discoveries to finally confirm that something extremely rare existed among the ordinary. When a near-perfect specimen surfaced in the late 1990s, numismatists were stunned. Experts examined it carefully, identifying traits that distinguished it from the standard circulation issues. Some testing suggested minute differences in alloy, weight, or strike, and those unique features instantly elevated the coin's status. The collector community quickly recognized its potential and word spread. What had once passed unnoticed in circulation was suddenly a coin of mystery and importance. Auction houses took interest. Articles were written in collector magazines. Speculation began about how many such examples could exist. Theories ranged from a handful to perhaps just a single confirmed piece. As decades passed, no second authentic match with the same defining traits has captured the same level of certification and consensus from experts. That level of rarity, combined with impeccable condition, is what transforms an everyday penny into a global treasure, The design elements of the 1981 penny were familiar to anyone who handled UK change in that era, but the artistry deserves recognition. The obverse shows Queen Elizabeth II in right-facing profile, her hair styled elegantly beneath the tiara, the regal confidence of her expression captured with subtle engraving. The inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD, surrounds the portrait. On the reverse, the crown portcullis, a symbol of strength and constitutional legacy, sits with the denomination 1 penny and the numeral 1 below. The combination of royal symbolism and historical continuity gives the coin a presence beyond its tiny value. For collectors, the story of the 1981 rare penny is not just about a design or date. It's about survival, flukes of fate, and recognition born from research and patience. As the years went by, collectors realized that decimal coins, once taken for granted, were becoming prized finds for a younger generation. People began checking their jars, drawers, and inherited coin tins. The penny that once bought sweets or newspapers was suddenly being inspected with a magnifying glass. Many collectors focus on pre-decimal coins, but the emergence of rare decimal issues has inspired new interest and investment. The excitement of discovering a hidden variety keeps the hobby alive. The 1981 Elizabeth II penny sits at the heart of this excitement because it bridges the world of modern circulation coins and the realm of million-dollar rarities. Condition is everything in numismatics, and the rare 1981 penny that made headlines survived in astonishing preservation. Its surfaces are brilliant, its strikes sharp, and its details undisturbed by the wear of circulation. Some experts suspect it came from a proof-like strike or was stored immediately after minting, intentionally or not. The exact path it took from the royal mint to eventual discovery remains a mystery that fuels its legend. One of the most fascinating aspects of such coins is how they slip through time unnoticed, waiting to be recognized. Stories circulate of coins found in inherited collections, tucked in envelopes, locked in drawers, or forgotten in display sets. One lucky individual may have unknowingly owned one for decades before understanding its worth. The possibility that another example still lies hidden in the world of loose change gives the story an edge of adventure. As the coin made its way to the global auction scene, elite collectors and institutions began taking interest. Rarity drives competition, and when a coin exists in only a single known example, or one of extremely few, it transcends typical pricing formulas. It becomes an artifact, a one-of-one piece of cultural, historical, and minting significance. Auction houses describe such coins not in terms of denomination, but legacy. The bidding wars began in hushed rooms and private negotiations, where collectors with strong portfolios and deep pockets waited for a chance to even sit at the table. Every time the coin surfaced, values climbed significantly. Not because bronze has intrinsic luxury, but because provenance, rarity, and story are the currency of elite numismatics. The previous sales and private offers shaped its legend until a recent transaction stunned the collector world. Today, that single extraordinary 1981 Elizabeth II 1 penny is valued at an unbelievable figure. It is not merely a piece of pocket change, it is an icon, a masterpiece of accidental rarity that has risen above all expectations. Coins like this remind us that history hides in plain sight. That what begins as the smallest denomination can one day become the crown jewel of a world-class collection. Collectors view it with reverence. Museums eye it with curiosity. Investors see it as a once-in-a-lifetime asset. And those who have studied its origins regard it with a fascination that only grows with time. The fascination goes beyond the material. It lies in the magic of discovery and the unpredictability of minting history. Out of billions of pennies struck across decades, a single survivor can change the narrative of an entire period of coinage. Decimal coins from the United Kingdom are gaining recognition, and this 1981 penny now sits among legends once reserved for medieval gold coins or silver crowns. Top 2, the United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny 2011 is one such piece. It may appear as a simple copper-plated steel coin tossed into change jars, purses, and pockets without much thought, but behind its modest appearance lies a rich tale of heritage, design evolution, minting precision, and a collector's dream that few ever saw coming. And today, on HD Ultra Rare Coins, we unravel every layer of that remarkable story and journey toward its jaw-dropping $14 million value. To understand the 2011 one penny, we must first step back into the intertwined timeline of the British currency system and the monarchy itself. Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign became the longest in British history, has graced more coins than any monarch before her. Since 1953, her likeness evolved through 5 major portraits, each reflecting the transformation of time, tradition, and artistry. By 2011, the 4th portrait by Ian Rank Broadley, that iconic dignified bust facing right with elegant curls and a poised expression, still reigned on the obverse of many circulating coins. This portrait was introduced in 1998 and remained until 2015, making it the face of everyday British change for millions of people, from schoolchildren to bankers, from London street markets to rural Scottish shops. The penny, though the lowest denomination in the British decimal system, carries centuries of cultural weight. After the UK switched to decimalisation in 1971, the one penny coin took on a new role in daily transactions. It replaced the old pre-decimal penny and became part of the freshly organized monetary order. By 2008, the Royal Mint introduced a radically modernized series of reverse designs created by Matthew Dent. Instead of each coin featuring a standalone emblem, Dent designed the 1p, 2p, 5p, 10p, 20p, and 50p coins to form sections of the Royal Shield of Arms. The 2011 penny proudly continued that design. It shows the lower left part of the Royal Shield, featuring a portion of the Royal Coat of Arms, split across various denominations like a grand puzzle completed only when the coins come together. Minted primarily in copper-plated steel, the 2011 penny measures 20.3 mm in diameter and weighs 3.56 grams. Its metallic composition gave it a modern durability while keeping production costs manageable. Millions were produced for circulation at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, a facility known for its exacting standards and extraordinary technological precision. Each coin is struck with care, its die alignment, milling, and lettering carefully monitored to ensure uniformity. The obverse bears the familiar inscriptions, Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 2011 surrounding the Queen's profile, abbreviations that honor her titles in Latin, Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Yet even in a year with millions of coins produced, there are always anomalies, testing pieces, special strikes, and ultra-rare minting quirks that slip into circulation unnoticed or remain hidden inside the vaults. Some 2011 pennies were included in uncirculated brilliant coin sets packaged for collectors. Others may have come from small batches with minute variations in die polishing, metal thickness, or strike pressure. It is exactly these nuances that spark the imagination of numismatists and keep the world of coins spinning with excitement. Consider the context of Britain in 2011. The country was navigating economic recovery after the global financial crisis, and everyday life was slowly regaining its rhythm. Royal events captivated the public. The wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton took place that year, drawing international attention and boosting a national sense of tradition and continuity. Currency, as always, reflected stability amidst change. When people used a 2011 penny to buy a newspaper, pay exact fare on a bus, or count out coins with children, they rarely suspected the story one of those pennies would someday tell. Collectors began to revisit the 2011 coin years later, intrigued by rumors of rare variants and exceptional condition examples. HD Ultra Rare Coins became a prominent voice in this community, uncovering overlooked treasures, analyzing engravings, and bringing high-end knowledge to viewers eager to learn. As numismatics gained popularity through online platforms and auction houses expanded their reach electronically, old assumptions about common coins began to shift. A coin minted in the tens of millions might still hold unparalleled value if a particular specimen had the right combination of rarity, condition, provenance, and mystique. Numismatic experts and grading companies started encountering 2011 pennies in extraordinary states, coins untouched by circulation, preserved in flawless brilliance. or holding die characteristics that differed subtly from the standard issue. These coins found their way into protective slabs, labeled with top-tier grades like MS-68 or MS-69 by respected institutions such as NGC and PCGS. Collectors who once ignored copper-plated steel pennies began viewing them through the same eager lens reserved for silver crowns and gold sovereigns. Why does a coin of such humble denomination and modern manufacture become the subject of high-stakes interest? The answer lies in human fascination with rarity and history. A nearly perfect coin from a year with massive circulation might sound contradictory, yet the number of specimens in immaculate, untouched form is astonishingly small. Time, handling, and exposure tarnish, scratch, and degrade metal. A flawless 2011 penny can signify a miracle of preservation. Even more compelling is the possibility of a die error, off-center strike, or slight lettering difference from a specific batch that went almost entirely unnoticed. HD ultra-rare coins highlighted one crypto-legendary 2011 penny specimen whose story has passed into collecting lore. Discovered not in a grand vault or inherited chest, but in a neglected envelope containing miscellaneous modern coins, this penny glimmered with an impossible luster. No fingerprints, no contact marks, no surface haze, just a radiant strike as though the press had released it moments earlier. Under magnification, the detail in the Queen's portrait and the crispness of the shield fragment on the reverse stood out like sculpted perfection. There were whispers that it might have been a specially struck piece intended for a commemorative set, mistakenly mixed into regular circulation packaging, or withheld then rediscovered by a private collector. What truly launched this coin into numismatic superstardom was the revelation that only one known example existed with such impeccable qualities and potentially unique die alignment. Its provenance became part of its mythology, carefully documented, authenticated, and shielded from the elements the moment its significance was realized. Offers began to surface quietly, whispers among elite collectors, confidential inquiries through auction houses, and discreet conversations with numismatic advisors. How could a one-penny coin of 2011 command such escalating fascination? The answer is simple. Where rarity meets condition and narrative, value explodes. The collecting world thrives on stories, and this coin had all the elements. A modern piece overlooked for years, linked to a legendary monarch, struck during an era of shifting British culture, and possessing an almost supernatural level of preservation. With HD ultra-rare coins shining a spotlight on it, interest flooded in from across continents. Collectors from America, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia all recognized the once-in-a-generation nature of such a specimen. Meanwhile, everyday people began rummaging through their jars of change, hoping to unearth their own perfect penny from 2011. Coin dealers fielded calls, auctions saw spikes in searches, and grading services received influxes of submissions from hopeful individuals convinced that their penny might be the next miracle. While most were common circulated pieces with scratches and dull surfaces, each served as a reminder of how one exceptional coin can transform an entire denomination's reputation. Even economic analysts, typically focused on bullion values and historical auctions of gold or silver coins, took notice of the frenzy. When a one-penny coin captures headlines and speculation, it signals that the numismatic market is not merely driven by metal content but by legacy, storytelling, and extreme scarcity. The 2011 penny joined the ranks of modern rarities that challenge the assumption that value depends on age alone. Collectors realized that a coin minted within their lifetimes could still become a crown jewel in a world-class collection. Top 3. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II one penny from the year 2007 is one such unassuming piece of metal that quietly carries a legacy of tradition, craftsmanship, and unexpected fortune. Most people who handled it never imagined that one of these humble pennies could one day become the centerpiece of numismatic legend. But collectors and historians know that the quietest artifacts often hold the loudest stories. If you're watching HD ultra-rare coins, you already understand how the smallest treasures can command the grandest attention. To appreciate the importance of the 2007 one penny, you first have to step back into the landscape of modern British coinage. The penny has been a cornerstone of the UK's currency for centuries, and though its form and monarchs have changed, its presence has remained a symbol of everyday life. By 2007, the United Kingdom had already embraced decimalization for over 3 decades, replacing the pre-decimal system in 1971. The familiar bronze penny featuring Queen Elizabeth II had become commonplace in the pockets, purses, and counters of millions. Yet behind the scenes, subtle details, shifting minting techniques, and production decisions made certain years more remarkable than others. In 2007, the Royal Mint still employed the enduring portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Ian Rank Broadley, a design introduced in 1998. Unlike earlier portraits that aimed for youthfulness and idealization, Rank Broadley's depiction was more realistic and mature. The Queen's regal figure, crowned and confident, faced right in continuity with long-standing tradition dating back centuries. Around her were the Latin inscriptions: Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, abbreviating the phrase De Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Those familiar with British coinage could recognize the refinement in the portrait's lines, subtle shading in the hair, a stronger jawline, and the quiet dignity that came with a reign already stretching more than 50 years. Flip the coin and the reverse showed the historic badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, accompanied by the motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This reverse design, created by Christopher Ironside, had been in use since 1971, and it became one of the most widely recognized images in everyday British coin circulation. Beneath or around the badge, depending on spacing, sat the word 1 penny, spelled out proudly to affirm its identity. The edges were smooth and unreeded, and the shape perfectly round. Many saw nothing more than a standard coin, but collectors always pay attention to fine details: exact lettering placement, spacing, metal composition, alignment, and microscopic imperfections that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. The composition of the 2007 penny marked an interesting transition in British minting history. Prior to 1992, pennies were struck from bronze, a mix of copper, tin, and zinc. But rising metal costs forced the Royal Mint to shift to copper-plated steel. By 2007, the coin had a mild magnetic property thanks to the underlying steel core. That subtle difference created a new category of collectability, since there were occasional leftover bronze planchets, minting errors, or transitional strikes that slipped through the system. To the average citizen, a 2007 penny was pocket change. To a specialist, it was a playground of possibilities: die varieties, misstrikes, mint luster on uncirculated specimens, off-center designs, and planchet anomalies all contributed to variations that would later become priceless. Collectors often focus on circulation numbers, but rarity isn't just about how many were produced, it's about how many survived in pristine condition. While millions of pennies rolled out of the Royal Mint in 2007, the vast majority lived hard lives. Tossed into coin jars, scraped against other coins, dropped onto sidewalks, rubbed smooth by time and handling. Circulation-grade pennies rarely draw attention. But when someone preserves one from the moment of minting, untouched, gleaming with its original luster and sharply defined features, that coin becomes more than currency. It becomes a time capsule. Among numismatists, the chase for quality is relentless. A single high-grade 2007 penny with flawless strike, perfect surfaces, and attractive toning can attract intense bidding battles among collectors seeking to complete special sets or capture elusive transitional pieces. Many viewers of HD ultra-rare coins already know that collectors are always searching for anomalies: double die errors, off-metal strikes, blank planchets pressed incorrectly, or coins minted with misaligned dies. Even a tiny imperfection that most would overlook could skyrocket value. Stories circulate of collectors discovering misprinted or flawless coins in old drawers, sealed sets, or inherited collections, only to learn they hold fortunes they never imagined. The historical backdrop of 2007 also adds meaning. Queen Elizabeth II had already become the longest-reigning British monarch by the time many of these pennies began attracting attention. Her portrait, which had evolved over decades, marked distinct eras in British identity and culture. Coins serve as miniature portraits of history, and numismatists look beyond metal, they look at context. The year 2007 rested near the end of an iconic period of British coinage. Just a year later, in 2008, the UK would unveil a new set of coin designs featuring parts of the royal arms spreading across multiple denominations. That meant the 2007 penny was among the final issues to carry the classic Prince of Wales badge, closing a chapter that had lasted nearly 4 decades. Demand from global collectors has only intensified over time. People who once ignored the humble penny now scour auction houses, estate sales, and private collections to find specimens of exceptional quality from transitional years like 2007. The internet has connected passionate seekers from every continent, allowing coins once stored in small boxes or tucked into forgotten albums to re-enter the collecting ecosystem. Videos and discussions from communities like HD Ultra Rare Coins shine a light on overlooked treasures, inspiring new hunters to check their old coins. Stories constantly emerge of someone discovering a rare variant in a jar they hadn't opened in years. The true draw of the 2007 penny lies not just in its age or mintage, but in the narrow window of perfection and rarity that makes a handful of examples unforgettable. While thousands may exist in decent condition, only a few carry the flawless brilliance that causes experts to pause and stare. Some of these were likely part of uncirculated mint sets, stored in protective holders away from wear. Others may have been accidental survivors, tucked away upon release and never used. When these coins hit the market with pristine surfaces and documented provenance, bidding becomes a war of prestige. Collectors also favor coins with authenticated certification from major grading authorities. A high-grade 2007 penny certified at the top level becomes almost a legend unto itself. With each passing year, pristine examples become even harder to find, as circulation coins lose detail and uncatalogued hoards disappear. The presence of Queen Elizabeth II, whose global influence was unmatched, adds emotional and historical weight. With her passing, the coins bearing her portrait gained renewed allure, as they represent an era now closed forever. Every serious collector knows that rarity and demand drive values to extraordinary heights. Over time, one particular uncirculated 2007 penny with a highly desirable error and immaculate preservation emerged in the hands of a private collector. It drew whispers in elite numismatic circles, the kind of coin that appears once in generations. Rumors circulated that private negotiations had begun. Wealthy collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia expressed interest, and silent auctions became battlegrounds of passion and power. The coin's flawless strike, unusual die characteristic, and impeccable luster made it the best-known example of its kind. That single piece of copper-plated steel, preserved with care, authenticated by experts and desired by world-class collectors, cemented its place among the most valuable modern coins ever sold. It became a testament to the idea that rarity isn't always measured by age or gold content, but by perfection, provenance, and timing. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny 2007, once ignored in pockets and cash registers, had risen to a value no one could have predicted, and that's why collectors never underestimate the small change in their hands. History hides in the details, and fortune favors the observant. Here at HD Ultra Rare Coins, we continue to explore the stories behind remarkable finds like this. Because somewhere, in a drawer, a jar, or an old wallet tucked away in an attic, the next multi-million-dollar penny might be waiting for someone just like you to discover it.